Thank you for staying with us. Have you heard about that before? The Africa Education Medal? Well, you're about to hear more about it. But you know, the important thing here is that education is critical to our future in Africa. I mean, it empowers communities, gives students the skills they need to succeed in a rapidly changing world. And it helps to reduce poverty and inequality. It also produces the scientists and leaders that we need in Africa to tackle Africa's challenges and prepare us for our future. We understand that the Africa Education Medal is aimed at honoring individuals who have demonstrated exceptional impact, leadership, and advocacy in the field of education in Africa. And the award celebrates their tireless efforts and shines a light on their stories, or the stories of change that can inspire others to take action. This morning we have one of them who is a winner this year. Please welcome Simi Wogogo, who is CEO JA Africa Nigeria. She was named the winner of the Africa Education Medal launched by T4 Education and HP in collaboration with Microsoft. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Even this smile itself is a winner's smile.
Thank you for having me.
What did you have to do to win? Maybe I can do it too. Why is she laughing?
No, that can't be all.
No, well, I'm very grateful to T4 HP and Microsoft for this honor. It brings validation to our work at Junior Achievement, and I was very shocked when I heard that we won, because T4 used to do the Global Teacher Prize. So when I think of Africa Education Medal, I immediately think of teachers, and we at Junior Achievement are more entrepreneurship education. So winning this award for us is really a validation for what we do, that it really improves the education outcomes for the students who go through our programs in different schools.
Okay, you need to be a little more explicit, or rather explicit a little further on what you do, and okay, what was it that qualified you for this award?
Sure. So Junior Achievement, or JA, is a global organization, and I run the Africa operation. So I'm CEO for JA Africa. I've been on this stage before when I was ED of JA Nigeria.
Okay.
And so my involvement started as the executive director for Junior Achievement in Nigeria. And what we do is we teach young people basically to be ready for the future of work. We do financial literacy, digital literacy, entrepreneurship, and work readiness programs to get them ready from the age of 5 all the way to 29. And the goal is to get people who immediately they leave education, they're employable. They can get jobs, they can create jobs, they can employ others. And our flagship program, which we've discussed on this stage several times, is a company program where we go into secondary schools and teach entrepreneurship by doing. And so they actually start businesses, develop businesses, and run businesses. And at the end of the school year, they have a competition to choose a winner for each country. And then each country winning team comes to the Africa competition, and the Africa winning team then goes to the global competition. And we're very proud that this year the Africa team actually, for the first time ever, won at the global competition. So Africa is showing that our youth can compete with youth from anywhere in the world.
What did they showcase that actually won them the award?
So this was a team from Zimbabwe, and they built a study buddy. That's an app for studying, for helping young people study. So during the pandemic really damaged a lot in the education system in Zimbabwe. And so what they did was they created
everywhere. Forget Zimbabwe,
really, everywhere.
Yes.
So what they did was they created the system where students could actually work one-on-one with teachers, and they could help each other as a community to study. They helped the teachers with learning tools that they could use and form a community. So it really demonstrated improvement in education outcomes in Zimbabwe. So they got a lot of awards in Zimbabwe, and when they came to Africa, they won the Africa Cup, and when they went to the global competition, they also won at the global competition $15,000 for their business. These are secondary school students.
Simi, I'm sorry to put a little hole in your bubble, just a tiny, tiny one.
Bring it away.
I saw a video this morning of some matriculating pupils.
Yes.
And they were asked, so when you graduate, what degree are you going to come out with? BSc. What is the meaning of BSc? They didn't have a clue. What is the meaning of NIN? No clue.
But that
so are these the ones you are training to go and get awards?
Well, that is in itself what we're fighting, because the education system, even if they could tell you what BSc means, it doesn't necessarily mean they're actually equipped to work in the world.
Yes.
Because the way the traditional education system operates, we study, we cram, we regurgitate at the exam. There are no real skills. And so what we do at Junior Achievement is actually give them skills. And you know, I was just at the World Economic Forum Growth Summit 2 months ago, where they published this Future of Jobs report. And they talked about the skills. Like, it's not about degrees anymore.
No.
It's now about skills. Employers want to see, what are you skilled to do? What can you do? Why should I hire you over this person?
Yes.
So you can have somebody who did a 1-year skills program versus somebody who did a 4-year BSc, and they prefer this person because they know it's a data scientist. I can employ him to do data entry.
He's got hands-on experience.
He's got hands-on experience. He can code. He can solve problems for me. You know, so these are the things that we teach our young people, the skills for future work. You know, AI is a big one. Artificial intelligence. It's, you know, one of the things that we were discussing throughout the WEF Summit. Like, how do we equip young Africans with knowledge to be able to compete? AI is making so many jobs redundant now, particularly administrative work or any kind of work that is routine. You know, why would I hire people when I can get a robot to do it for me? Much more efficient. I make money.
The robot does not go on leave, does not fall sick.
Exactly. Exactly. Does not need flexible work schedule.
Doesn't need leave allowance. You know, let me ask you this. I mean, in the light of what you just said now, when she talked about the BSc, one of the first few things you mentioned was the education syllabus.
Yes.
Okay. How significant a challenge is it? Because even the syllabus we have now, largely in Africa, largely
antiquated is the word.
Yes.
What did you use?
It teaches us
antiquated.
Book. And book isn't going to help you when you leave school.
You didn't say fossiled? So
it gets worse.
So
it gets worse.
How much of a challenge is that? I'm glad you are in the education space, so we can really talk about this. How much of a challenge is that in Africa?
It's a huge
given
challenge.
that Africa is all arms open, all arms wide for anything ingenious.
Yes.
Thread came out how many days ago?
Yes.
We're all there already.
Oh, yes.
So Africa wants to embrace all technology.
Yes.
But we don't seem to be prepared for it.
Yes.
Especially with the kind of education syllabus and all of those that we have. How much of a challenge is that?
It is a huge challenge because there is such a huge opportunity for Africa. We are the youngest continent. A lot of the Western populations are aging. They're going to look to Africa in the future.
You mean old?
They're going to look to us for young people that can work. And they will find that if we don't change our education system, we don't have anybody to offer them because they don't have the skills. So there's a huge opportunity for us to skill our young people because they are the ones that will be the world's HR, will be HR suppliers to the world. You know, over 70% of our population is under the age of 30. And so 60% under the age of 25. So we are really, if we educate our young people, primed to be high growth economies in Africa. And so what do we need to do? We need to invest in technology. We cannot continue the way we are going. It has to be a massive investment in technology, both as in terms of content, but really even in terms of tools. Teachers need to be trained. You said they want to do book. There is not enough book you can learn now because information is rapidly growing every day. How much book are you going to teach them?
How about policies, forgive me, I'm going to say this again, Alaro. I have looked at the Nigeria's education policy. Honestly, as far as my unlearned head is concerned, that policy expired 20 years ago, as far as I am concerned, because I didn't see anything futuristic, in my opinion.
Yes.
I'm not an educationist.
Yeah.
I'm just a Nigerian who is troubled by some things. I've looked at the education policy, I've looked at the health policy. I'm not sure I've seen the our technology policy and all of those things. So, in terms of policy, speaking to governments at the federal and states levels now, what should we be focusing on? We
should be focusing on supporting the edtechs to develop the kind of infrastructure we need to solve this problem.
What's edtechs?
So education. So if you look at the unicorns that have come out of Nigeria, the unicorns are billion-dollar businesses that have come out of Nigeria, is because the fintechs, the financial technology companies, were allowed to solve the problem of banking, the unbanked, and create tools that people can perform transactions on their phones. We need the same kind of thing for technology, where young people who are using technology to get education to the masses are encouraged to build, because we cannot build enough schools. We have over 12 million students out of school in Nigeria. You can't build enough schools. You can't train enough teachers. So you really need to depend on technology as a tool to get what is needed, the education that is needed, which is skills for the future, to young people who need that. And it has to be in bite size. It has to be, okay, if I take a course in 6 months that can get me a job, I'll take it. And then I'll go back for more so that I can improve. I go back for more. So it's really that one-to-one or even one-to-many, but really using technology both as the infrastructure and also as the content.
Yeah, you keep harping on technology.
Yes.
Is that the only way that we can prepare these young people for the future? Is there no place for technical
so when I say technology, it means all those things. So TVET institutions, technical vocational training institutions, all those things. So you have there's nothing. If you hire a plumber or a carpenter in some countries right now, they use technology.
Yeah, true.
They use to even basically figure out what the problem is and everything, to pinpoint. You go to construction sites in Western, and they're using technology to get the. So everything is really, no matter how. So it's not just.
You take your car in, you say there's something wrong with your car.
Yes.
And he brings out some equipment, he plugs it on. Diagnosis. He tells you exactly what's wrong with your car.
We are still trying to do things manually.
Some don't even plug in now. They just put a modem on your system and they're working around.
Yes.
And they're telling you everything that is wrong with your car.
Yes.
It's now wireless.
Yes. Everything. So we have to get our young people those skills. So when you're talking about, robots don't need this, who's programming the robots? So that's the skill we need to get, the coding, the AI, all those things. Otherwise, AI is going to take over the world, it's going to kill us. It will, because you are getting the wrong people to program them.
Are we aware of how dire the situation is?
I don't think so.
You will speak to it further. I'll give you an example. In this studio, for instance, there are 5 cameras, right? And it's being powered by just one person. Hitherto would have 5 individuals. Yes, five cameras. So five men handling the different cameras. But now it's just one person. That's just one example.
Yes.
I understand that there is a car manufacturer, I think it was Mercedes.
Yes.
That their entire production line, 80% of their production line is just robots.
Yes, there's so many. And the globalization, there's a reverse you know, where people used to go to China and all these other countries to go and look for cheap labor, they've come back into their countries because they have robots.
Yes.
They don't have to worry about sweatshops, humanitarian, somebody is suing me for running child labor.
Child labor.
Everything is now robots.
No wonder you won the award.
And there's no child robot and adult robot.
Exactly.
No wonder she won the award. Now, tell us about that process for you, because a number of people watching will be like, okay, she won the award because, you know, maybe I should do the same thing. Is that all there is to it? For instance, how did you start out in this line, this trajectory that you're in that's giving you this acclaim, you know, this global acclaim?
So I, you know, growing up in Nigeria as a smart student, you are encouraged to be a doctor or a lawyer. So I went off to university thinking I was going to be a doctor or a lawyer in the US, and quickly realized that I didn't like either of them. And so I was lost for a while. I didn't know what I wanted to be or who I wanted to be. And it was an internship that, you know, after several internships that I realized that I love business, but I love business as, you know, social enterprise and strategy, problem solving. So all those words were new to me because I didn't learn them in school. And so I, you know, ended up going to work for Goldman Sachs at the time, an investment bank, and they were a huge supporter of JA in New York. And so when I was teaching JA programs as a volunteer was when I said to one of the leaders of JA in New York that I wish I had this as a young child. I would have known sooner what I love to do and what I would like to do with my life. And he said, oh, you know, they're trying to go to Africa. Maybe you can take it to Africa. So I brought JA to Nigeria back then, I think it was 99. And what we've done since then is really go through a lot of metamorphosis to say, what do we need as a country? Now I run Africa, so I'm thinking, what do we need as a continent? And it was really that business education, soft skills, you know, critical thinking, problem solving. These are the skills that even the WEF reports that I referred to earlier, they interviewed over 800 companies in 45 countries, leading companies. What are you looking for when you hire? Number one was analytical reasoning, critical thinking, problem solving, design thinking, AI, you know, ability to work with artificial intelligence technology. We're not teaching that in Nigeria. So these are the things.
Are we teaching it in Africa?
I'm sure some young people, if you told them AI, they would look at you like,
what is that?
What does
the
that
only
mean?
thing they will know, when you say AI, they will think of ChatGPT, and that's probably all of it.
Which is a fantastic tool, but our schools are banning because they think that it's
The
cheating.
children will not think.
They will not learn.
I agree with them, because when you were growing old, your own slate didn't have memory of its own. Your own iPad didn't have a memory of its own. You had to wipe it and write a fresh thing. But you know, in terms of looking, you know, running Africa, as you said, there are peculiarities that many people don't see. Help us understand it, because when we think about Africa, think about education, many people see Africa only from their position. Kenyans think of Africa in the light of Kenya, but there is Algeria. There's Ethiopia, there's Tunisia, and there's a number of these countries are largely Arabic in their cultures and all those things. Is there a role for culture in education that needs to be domesticated? I saw a video some years ago of old Chinese women. Okay, let me just say Asian, because I don't know whether they are Chinese or Korean or Japanese. Old Asian women learning coding in Mandarin in their local language. So is there a place for localizing the language of education? Let me be more specific. Language of education, more specifically technology, for the various segments of Africa so we can, as you said, bring it home.
So the beauty of technology sometimes is that language is becoming fast irrelevant, because you soon have something that it might be written in English, you wear glasses and you read it in French, you know. So there's a place for that, where language is no longer a barrier. But before that, let me go to the question on culture. Culture is very relevant, and I think even beyond culture is identity. Knowing who you are, where you come from, it gives you that kind of confidence. And I'm really glad that our young people now are becoming even more proud to be Nigerian, because there's the Afrobeat culture, there is the Nollywood culture, there's a lot of things that is making Nigeria look cool. But going beyond that is, how are we imbibing how are we developing the education system such that our young Nigerians can compete anywhere in the world? The first thing that occurred to me when I came into this role in Africa is really how bad our system is compared to other African countries. I meet students in Kenya who are brilliant, and when they write an essay to even say, come and give me a job, the CV you get is compared to a Nigerian CV that have errors and typos, and so it really made me sad.
Kenya is beating us.
Yes, Kenya. Unfortunately, the education system is much better than ours.
Okay.
Even Ghana.
That hurt.
Yes.
It's time to go. Yes.
That hurts.
But there's light at the end of the tunnel, which is why there's so many different. Even the shortlisted 10 people in this award, it really gave me a lot of hope, because there are many social entrepreneurs in the field of education that are closing that gap. Okay. They're doing a lot of work in education to close that gap, and so is JA.
I'm overwhelmed by the things that you're doing already.
Sorry,
but just a quick one. JA, the website. Your website is ja-africa.org.
Yes, ja-africa.org.
africa.org, that's your website, and a good number of people can learn so much about what you do and offer the support. That's the website right there. And as you can see, yes, we have put our medal right there.
Yes, and we have programs, like I said, from a very young age.
Our own Simi.
Exactly. What would be very interesting?
You see how we're claiming you quickly
Thank
now?
What would be wonderful is for people to go to that website, ja-africa.org. If you don't see that medal there, it's not our own. ja-africa.org, that's the website. There is a lot that you'll be hearing about Simi Ogugu as well as Junior Achievers Africa. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Truly appreciate your time.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, most certainly. Simi Ogugu is CEO JA Africa. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, one of the things that she said to us is that we need to put our children under pressure to achieve, but they're already under pressure. We'll talk about that when we return from this.